to hear you or Prof?
Oh, really? No.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
No.
Can you hear me? Okay, so we are live.
Let me relog in again. I'll disconnect and relog in again.
Sure. So good morning.
Sorry about this.
No worries. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hoshi Gaswala. I work with Business World, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. But the events of the last few quarters have got me involved in every single thing, and work hours have extended like they would have for all of you all here. Productivity has kind of gone up, but as I was just saying before we opened, one of the things that really I'm a family man. I've got 2 kids. I have a wife who's an educator, and as I was mentioning, one of the things that really kind of concerns me and bothers me is exactly this topic that we are discussing today. So besides doing the opening, I am no specialist. Okay, I really want to hear from our esteemed speakers. We've got Professor Rao, we've got Mr. Sitaraman, we've got Ms. Satya K. On how do you keep with the blurring campus boundaries, how do you actually keep students engaged? I was telling them a couple of minutes ago, I have 2 kids, one in class 12, one doing masters, and I don't know what sort of absorption goes. And I think the load is, or the onus is very, very heavy on educators, as I see it with my wife, and on companies that can ensure that you keep students engaged. I've not been too much of a student, and I really wish that I had studied more, but I did not see and I kind of dropped out. Right now, it's a very exciting space, education, and I wish I could do more about it to help keep students engaged. But I want to hear from these gentlemen on how do you kind of make it happen. My kids are at 2, and I'm hearing this from all parents across on how difficult it is to keep children, involved, engaged. I'm hoping I'm no exception. But that doesn't take away from the fact that my kids also need to do well as much as everyone else. As I said, I'm not the expert. We at BW put several events together. Our job is we are a platform at the end of the day. We cannot be running we are not experts in education, otherwise we'll be running education businesses or aviation. If we were in aviation, we would be buying Air India and running it, or banking, finance. We are at the end of the day, or a technology company. At the end of the day, we are a platform. We bring in experts. So I want to thank Professor Rao for taking the time out. I'm sure, you all have been very, very active in ensuring that children are kept at the same level, students, I should call them, at the same level. They're absorbing what would have happened otherwise in a normal physical environment. And I have nothing more to say. I'm actually waiting to hear so that I can learn some stuff here, and I'm sure our audience will benefit hugely, and that's why we are kind of doing it. Thank you, Professor Rao, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Sitaram. Thank you, Satya. So the flow will be that Professor Rao will share with us his perspective, experience over the next 10 to 12 minutes. Then we'll break into a small panel discussion between Professor Rao and Venkat Sitaram of Dell. Sorry, Professor Rao, all of you would know, is IIT Delhi. Venkat Sitaram is Dell. Satya is also from Dell. This will be moderated by my colleague Vasudha Mukherjee, who is the education lead for our education property, which is called BW Education. We'll then get into questions and answers, and post that, Satya is going to do a little closing for us. Over to you, Professor Rao. I'm actually looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to be with all of you today. In fact, COVID, it's very difficult to describe everything as one single thing. It meant different things to different people. In fact, as we were discussing a few minutes ago, I have had parents who called me to say that please take my child away. I can't live with this guy or girl anymore. 2 years and I'm not able to deal with it anymore. Please take him back to the campus. So there were one set of parents. There were also other set of parents saying that, my daughter wants to onboard, come back to the campus, but please don't allow her because I have a sick parent at my residence. And if my child goes to the campus and comes back over the weekends, there can be infection. So that is another kind of a worry. So we are dealing with all kinds of cases. I think, things have been pretty difficult because, India's diversity really showed up during the COVID time. There were people who were able to manage it very well, in cities and towns, but people who are coming from remote areas, I think they had no clue how to go online, what is online, and all of that. So I think managing the diversity was the biggest challenge for all of us. But when I look back at how IIT Delhi has dealt with this crisis, we had the first phase that was in March 2020, when it was a crisis phase. We looked at COVID as a crisis. We did not know. Suddenly the campus had to be shut down, and you would have seen those videos of students, thanking COVID for cancellation of the midterm exams and all of that, celebrating in the hostels because we said all exams are cancelled. It happened one day before the examination started, and they started celebrating. They did not know what was going to hit them later. And so that was one phase where it was a crisis because we sent the students back and we did not know when we will get them to the campus, and things were getting extended. Initially, we thought 3 months it will all be over. So everybody was celebrating the unexpected break, but then it's continued to stretch. And then for institute, the crisis was how do you ensure no loss of academic careers? Because now if IIT Delhi delays its degrees and all that, while other institutions are able to manage, because we are competing at a global level. If global universities progress and contain their COVID situation and move on with their academics, and in India and at IIT Delhi, our students cannot get their degrees and cannot even apply anywhere, I think that is going to be a very bad situation to be in. So we were trying to manage the entire situation, and almost 650 courses to 700 courses run in a semester, moving them all to the online kind of a format was a Herculean sort of a task. And when we wanted to do that, at least 20, we did a survey among students. 20% of students said we just cannot do anything online. We don't have the tools to go online. We don't have internet facilities. And that is when we started to provide them whatever they require so that they can go ahead with their studies. In fact, I should thank Dell. I see that the team from Dell is also here. Dell partnered with us. In fact, to their CSR, we provided a lot of students, the computers and tablets and a lot of facilities. In fact, I would like to thank Dell as part of this event, for all their support. And so we managed it. But in the process, what happened was, I think, we had to train our faculty also, because many of them were Sachin Tendulkars in the classroom, but you put them in front of a computer, they did not know how to react, without that eye contact, without all the normal sort of a thing that happens in the class. They were completely lost. And so we started to train the faculty, take the courses online, conduct exams in whatever way possible online. So we could manage the semester. So education part went on. But but nobody is happy, because education happens at least in a residential campus like IIT Delhi. I say you learn through majorly from 3 different ways. One is the peer learning. Everybody stays on the campus. They interact with each other and learn from each other. That was completely missing during the online. And but later on, students started to network and all that, even using online platforms. But it's never the same. So that was missing. And the second part of learning is, of course, by going to the lab and doing yourself, the experiments and all that. That was again completely missing. The third learning is through what the teacher delivers. That part we could, anyway take online effectively now. But that's just 1/3 of it. So that way, I don't think it's the same still, and the experience is not the same. I feel sorry for students who have worked for 3 years, got admission in IIT in 2020 and haven't even seen the campus. They don't even know what IIT Delhi is. All those stories they have heard about, so many things, they have no chance to experience that. So I think it has been tough. I think whatever we may say or claim that, how well we have managed it, but it has been a tough journey so far. And, I think things are not the same anymore. But then we entered a phase within 6 months' time, once the class pressure, once the education part of it is taken care of, and we knew that students are getting their degrees and everything has moved online. but we also started to see COVID as an opportunity. So that is the second phase where we said, let's open all our labs now, and let's welcome back the researchers who wish to work on any COVID related technologies. And that is when, a lot of great things started to happen. And many students, having experienced what COVID was at various places, became so passionate about providing solutions. And they said, we can do this, we can do that, kind of an attitude. And that is when IIT Delhi actually done very well. We did the first technology that came out of IIT Delhi was a rupees 399 RT-PCR kit. And so that kit came into the market and brought down the RT-PCR prices in the country to whatever are the current levels. Then we started to focus on the PPEs, and many things became brands from IIT Delhi. And then we started preparing on the treatment part of it. We opened our high performance computational facilities. Students, some of them, I was worried about their health because they were working day and night because they thought it's a great opportunity for them to make a difference. If something comes out into the market, which they have worked on in the laboratory, they felt that will make a huge impact to their careers. So students work pretty hard. And I think if I look at it now, we made use of that as an opportunity. In the last 1 year, we filed almost like 13 patents on just the COVID related technologies. And we signed the 19 licensing deals, 4 technology transfers. The technologies that came out of IIT Delhi, whether it is diagnosis or treatment or prevention, have now reached almost like 15 million people in the country. And 40% of the PPEs have been exported. The students who have been able to come back and contribute to these activities have really been elated. They thought it's a great opportunity. Some of them have gone on to start their own companies, and some of them have have really felt that they have contributed to the crisis management and felt very happy about it. And then came the third phase, which is what happened subsequently, where we started now to look at it as a disruptor. We have been doing education in a particular way for so long. So we said, can we now do something differently? At IITs, or for that matter, in all IITs, our education model is you conduct the world's most difficult examinations and take a handful of people, and they come to the campus, and all of them eventually graduate. So, and then they find jobs and make their career. So that way, while so many want to come into these campuses, the number of people or the percentage we take is about 0.1%. We thought, can we, turn around that model and then see if we can do anything differently? So IIT Delhi, for example, last November, during the convocation, we launched the e-Vidya initiative. We said we will give online certificate programs, and that we will do jointly with the edtech companies. Until that time, we were shying away from anything online because every time the feeling was anything online is inferior to anything which is in class, and that will dilute our brand. So we should stay away from online kind of a thing. But COVID now, people have become familiar, people have become comfortable. So we said, why not do online certificate programs? And we said, if we do it on our own, we will not be able to market it properly, and we won't have that kind of a reach. So we joined hands with 5 edtech companies, and now we started launching these online courses, certificate courses, and almost like 25 courses are now online, which are certificate programs. People from all over the country and world are taking these courses. And now we have a credit bank. And if students start taking these courses, accumulate credits, they can eventually get a diploma, and eventually, who knows, we can even give degrees from IIT. So that has been a major disruptor. And that, I believe, is also a way we can scale up our education offerings, because IITs at the end of the day have remained very tiny. And we see this as an opportunity now to scale up our education and have people from all over the world register for our courses. And that process is definitely going very well. And the IIT model is now going through a major kind of a change. So, but at the end of the day, I think the optimum doesn't lie in completely online. Optimum did not even lie in completely offline, the in-house kind of a thing. The optimum lies somewhere in between. And I am hoping that once COVID ends, we will be able to find that optimum, because now all these courses are available online, which otherwise would have taken almost like 10 years, for that kind of a transformation to happen. All happened in a matter of months now. In a matter of 1.5 years now, everything that we do in IIT now has moved to online. our Senate meetings, our board meetings, our PhD defenses, our everything that you can think of has moved to online. Nothing has stopped now. COVID hasn't stopped anything. So I think now we will be able to find that optimum. And as COVID ends, I'm confident IITs will come out stronger, and our educational systems will come out stronger. And I think it has been a price that we paid for COVID, but I think what will happen after COVID, will be a game changer for many of our institutions. Now, all our role job is to ensure that we don't fall back to the pre-COVID era, and we try to integrate what happened during COVID with what used to happen pre-COVID, and then find that optimum in everything we do, and move on to the new model of education, which is more hybrid, more on demand kind of an education. Which is also another good thing that has happened is in our classes now there is a huge variability in terms of the quality of students, quality as judged by these examinations, because we have now started admitting students from multiple ways and multiple kind of backgrounds, and the poorer students in the classrooms have always been lagging behind. But thanks to COVID now all these courses are available online. Students can learn things at their own pace, and they can go back to their rooms and then study from rooms. I think some of these now has also helped the slightly weaker kind of students on the campus. And I think it's going to be a very interesting time once COVID ends. So while there were negatives, but I think there were also many positives that COVID brought about in our institutions. And I think we are in for something exciting as we move into the post-COVID kind of an era. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Vasudha, over to you. I can't see Venkat. He was having a problem kind of logging in, so he came in twice and dropped. But Venkat, in case you're not here, Satya, you will stand in for Venkat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just check. Venkat, are you there?
Oh, he's still having trouble.
Yeah,
he's trying if he can join our phone.
Okay. Vasudha, over to you. Please take over the panel. Let's roll on time. Thank you, Professor Rao. Would love to have a longer conversation with you sometime in person, if that's okay with you.
Thank you, Mr. Dhaswala, and thank you so much, Professor Rao, for your address. Since the pandemic, people have been really panicking about what distance and online learning means for education. But over and over again, like you said, many educators have said that the pandemic only accelerated the adoption of technology that was already in works. And as you also mentioned, it created opportunities that were very successfully realized by several institutes, including IIT Delhi, of course. And it is my absolute privilege to discuss this very imperative matter, which is a student engagement. I mean, even in a regular day-to-day life, this is something that educators worry about all the time. With online education, it has become even more important to talk about it because we have something to compare it with, right? We have the physical classes and we have the online learning classes. So we're talking about blurring boundaries of the campuses, and we are so lucky to have an academic expert, Professor Ram Gopal Rao, Director of Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and our industry expert, Ms. Satya K from Dell Technologies, here to speak with us, who's standing in for Mr. Venkat Sikara, who's the Geo Head and General Manager, Corporate Business and Education, Startup and Healthcare of Dell Technologies. Now, without further ado, I would like to get into this topic by asking both our speakers about this, about the overall theme, which is blurring boundaries of the campuses, keeping students engaged. So can we start with Professor Rao again, because since you were already speaking about this topic. To what extent is student engagement the responsibility of the educator, and where does technology come in?
The technologies have been, pretty important. I think anything online, you need access to these tools. One of the, challenges in India is, for a place like IIT Delhi, now we get students from all over the country and with very varied backgrounds, varied, infrastructure availability to them. So I think when it comes to technology, the access to these tools, access to internet facilities, access to the right kind of a bandwidth has been very important. And so that, where we are not able to provide, we have actually got all those students back to the campus. So that was how we handled. And even during the peak of COVID, we got, at least almost like I would say 600, 700 students back to the campus, because we realized technology cannot really solve their problems because they are in such remote corners of the country where internet is a major challenge and all that. So we addressed that to some extent. But when it comes to technology, I think one of the places where technology has been a problem right now is the online examinations, the proctored examinations. There, I don't think we have found an easy way to actually do that. What happened, just to give you an example, when students join IIT in their first year, all of them come from such excellent academic credentials. They have all been toppers in their classes, and everywhere they were celebrated as heroes, kind of a thing. Now they come to IIT, you put them all in the first year class and you teach them all together, and then you conduct an exam, and suddenly they see that somebody is scoring more than them, because our examinations are very, very different compared to the kind of examinations they are used to before coming to IITs. So in our examinations, some of them just couldn't figure out. They felt that they are lacking something, and they felt that they saw that others are doing much better, and they immediately attributed others doing better to saying that they are all cheating. No, those guys are all cheating. I am not cheating. Therefore, they are doing better. But now, as an institution, how do you address that? Everything is online. But how far can you go when it comes to proctored examinations in an online kind of a format? There are huge challenges in that, and all institutions have faced that. And students complaining that others who have done better are all doing it, are all getting that there because of cheating. Has created a lot of rift among students, a kind of a distrust between students and the educators. I think this technology has not been able to easily find a solution, and that is one place where I think we have to do something differently. But even to tell the teachers that the examinations that you conduct in a regular format cannot be ported to an online format just like that. You have to make a lot of tweaks to the way you conduct exams. It has also dawned on them a little bit differently, because initially the thinking was you make everybody to have their videos on, and then you sit in front of a terminal and keep monitoring them, but it doesn't happen that way, because suddenly somebody's internet goes away. Now what do you know? How do you know that during that time something is not happening? And that could be a very genuine reason. It's not that the student intentionally turned off something. It did not work out for a period of 5 to 10 minutes. So that created all kinds of problems, and so they immediately people moved on to an open book kind of examinations, and unlimited time kind of examinations. But in all of that, we haven't been able to really sort out this problem. The proctored kind of exams is still a big challenge. That is where I think the technologies need to probably progress more. But even the ethics, the moral values in the society, that anything is okay, to get those marks and to get that grade, is also that sort of an attitude in our system. Everything is examination driven. I think given that sort of situation, the technologies have been a bit on the lower side when it comes to addressing these issues. But online teaching part of it is now pretty well taken care of. And these edtech companies have also built great platforms where it can be more interactive now. In fact, in online platforms, even conducting in between, even to know whether a student is following or not, you can have quick online quizzes during the lecture hours, and knowing the feedback of students, how much they are following. These have been great kind of boon now in the online format. So I think the teaching part of it has happened very well. So there are no issues with it, but the examination part of it, the evaluation part of it, probably still has to go some way. But otherwise, I think technologies have really come to our aid when it comes to the online education aspect of it.
I think you really hit the nail over there with examination, because that has definitely been the biggest concern of all academic institutes, from K-12, higher education, professional training, all of them. This is the one part that they are most worried about, because this is what the students are most likely to use to get ahead in their professional or education life. And also the ethics. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because yes, the accusations of cheating happens. I mean, when I was in college, not online classes, even then, if someone did better, I've certainly accused people of cheating, whether it was whether it happened or not, it's a very natural human tendency to want to believe that someone has an unfair advantage when you are not doing as well as they are. And ethics definitely plays a huge portion in that. And thank you for the response. Ms. Sathya, I would like to ask you the same question. To what extent and what role does technology play when it comes to student engagement in classrooms?
Thanks, Vasudha. It was nice listening to Rao sir for this while, and I think he had some great points to share with us, and that gives me the opportunity to take this forward with the conversation on the disruption and the change in the mindset between the students, the parents, and the faculties. And I'm sure COVID gave as he rightly said, the opportunity for people to look at what can I do with a given situation and how can I make best use of it. So on those lines, we have been always into the education, and we have been working with education clients with respect to offering the colleges and K-12 the required tools for them to set up their premises with the required facilities for their students. With the COVID coming and a lot of online taking up, and we see that online learning, and this is an opportunity on the other hand as well, where we see that the students have started engaging themselves beyond the regular curriculum into the other edutechs, like Rao sir said, while they also have collaborated with edtechs. The students themselves have also aligned with edtechs, and they are taking up a lot of new courses, and they are preparing themselves. So in these lines, we, I would say from Dell Technologies, we are also working along with the edtechs to provide solutions. And one of them, like what Rao sir said, the online examination. There are tools and solutions for that as well, and we are collaborating with the respective ISVs to help our higher education clients with those offerings as well. On the other hand, what is that we see is that because of this, a lot of change with respect to expectation, and rightly said, nothing has changed in the world with respect to the timelines of other things, like the students getting into the next level of post-graduations or PhDs, or where they have intentions to move abroad and take up their education. Because of the COVID, not much has changed. It has given opportunities to people who can, and that is one reason why the rest of the people cannot be held back in giving that opportunity. So there's a lot of growth with respect to the expectation in the market, with respect to the technologies that they look forward from the students who are coming out of the campus. So the campuses are now looking at setting up a center of excellences where they can train their students beyond the regular curriculum. And this is easy to be given on a on-demand model through online. And Dell is also partnering there, and we are providing our certifications and technologies both on the programming side, on the cloud, on solutions like infrastructure management, data center management. So the students get a flavor, a multiple flavor variety for them to prepare themselves for the market readiness. And this is what we see, that COVID has given the opportunity for students to become better with their aspirations, and they are more well ready for the market needs. While there are certain small, I would say, resource and tool hitches being there, especially for the remote students, which sir addressed, saying that they have brought back to their campuses, some of them, so that they can continue, which is a great, I would say, gesture. Even in the COVID times, I'm sure there's a lot of actions are taken with respect to keeping up in shape the sanitization of the campus, and taking care that students don't fall into the COVID victim. So that is a great gesture from the campus side. On the other hand, the tools are becoming more less bandwidth consuming and more friendly. So we see that most of the students are able to take best use of these with just handheld devices or low bandwidth network on laptops they are working. So we see that there's more and more need for physical tools as well as the online tools, as well as we see that there's more engagements happening with respect to enabling students for the market and keeping them more industry ready. So there's a lot of actions happening on those lines as well.
Right. Thank you so much for outlining those things. I would like to now ask Professor Rao one more question. During the initial shift to online learning, can you tell us what were the first steps taken by IIT Delhi?
I think the first step was the teacher training. That was a big challenge because people were using some platforms once in a while to deliver one lecture, at some place kind of a thing. But nobody had used any of these platforms intensely to engage with a large class and all that. So no one had an idea. There were 2 or 3 tools which were popular, but I think majority of people, when we did a survey, almost like 60% of people had no clue how to actually go about it. They were still used to the blackboard kind of a teaching and all that. I think I say that the only technology educationists have adapted very conveniently and in a large scale is the PowerPoint. Other than the PowerPoint, I don't think in the last 50 years anything has changed in the education space. And so from PowerPoint to moving a complete online kind of a thing, and recording lectures, conducting these quizzes, during the lectures to know the feedback. I think some of these tools also kept improving. And thanks to all these, technology companies, many of these tools now, when I see where they were, before COVID and where they are today, a lot of new features have been added, and many of them have also become free for the campuses. And many of them now you can integrate it with the rest of the campus ERP networks and all of that. I think a lot of innovation has happened on the technology space, thanks to most of these technology companies now, and that has now come to our aid. But many teachers had no clue. I think the first thing we did was to conduct. We have an educational technology services center, and so that center conducted large number of online workshops for teachers, and so that helped them to bring them to a certain level. And then over a period of time, they started to become better at that. So now they're all quite comfortable. But that was one major challenge, training of teachers. And so I think that is where we started. And then doing a survey among students to figure out what is that they require so that they can take these classes. That was the second thing that we did. And based on these surveys, we conducted very tailor-made kind of programs for the faculty and students. And once that was taken care of, and then providing tools to these people. And we are a Government of India institute. At the end of the day, I cannot just tell faculty just go and buy the best computer that is out there in the market. We have to follow some processes and all of that. So I think to change our existing processes so that people can acquire these tools and even provide them support, as I was mentioning. In fact, as I mentioned, Dell came to our rescue, during those peak COVID times. I think, all of that, one after another, within 3 months, we were well off. I think first 3 months were basically the preparation phase. But after 3 months, I think we were able to move almost like 700 lectures to complete online format. And we were able to manage it pretty well that way.
It's so interesting to hear that you started off with the whole just knowing PowerPoint and moving all the way to, let's find a way of doing examinations online. That's a huge journey to take. And I saw Mr. Sitaram join, but seems he has been disconnected again. So Ms. Satya, I would like to ask you now very directly, what are the solutions that Dell offers to strengthen online learning?
Okay, with respect to online learning specifically is the question?
Yes.
Okay. So the primary tool that is needed for online learning is the system. And we provide that with respect to the edge systems, starting from a laptop to the student or the desktop. In addition to that, what we do today is that, Venkat, would you like to take this up?
Now I can hear you. I don't know. I've been restarting my system and rejoining, but now I can hear you. Before it goes off, yes, Hoshi, Vasudha, please go on.
Yes, I was going to ask you actually quite directly. Could you tell us the solutions that Dell offers to strengthen online learning?
Oh, yeah. So that's an interesting question. Uh, we provide industry's world-class best infrastructure to support online learning. So that's the fundamental background of what we do. Now, when we talk about online learning, we all know it's got to do with a lot in the learning ecosystem. Starts with content. So we understood that that's an important need, and from content to repositories to collaboration tools to assessments to across all the pedagogies involved, we've partnered with edtech companies. Some of the lead edtech companies whose solutions are getting adopted in schools and colleges today, we partner with them and we bring in that content as part of an online learning platform. So that's an integrated solution that we offer across, be it on content, be it on assessments, be it on virtual labs, and so on and so forth. There are many interesting areas that we collaborate and we bring it to institutions. So that's very specific to online learning, what Dell Solutions provide. The second part of this that I would like to share here is we realize that this is going to be an ongoing process. This is not going to stop. The best of both worlds will continue to exist. What we have done is we have created a Dell Education Services. It's an online on-demand platform within Dell, which puts together a lot of content across new age technologies, across traditional technologies that students or teachers can go access. It not just covers curriculum, it also covers a lot outside curriculum in terms of those creative innovations required for the future. It also covers a lot about skills, leadership, and opportunities that are coming ahead in the industry. So it's a mix of both generic as well as academic plus new technology platform. It's an on-demand virtual platform that we offer. Good news is one can do it as a beginner, one can do it as a professional practitioner, and there are several grades. It includes certification, it includes assessments as well. So that's another support that we are doing for online learning in the current environment. Vasudha, back to you.
Thank you so much for pointing all that out and letting our audience know exactly what options are out there as far as online tools are concerned. Because I think a lot of us aren't entirely sure about the extent of technology has to offer to online institutes and to individuals. Individuals a little bit more because, like you said, EdTech does directly go to the consumer, so we hear a lot more about that. But we don't necessarily hear about what Dell is doing in the background. So now I would like to go back to Professor Rao and ask you. You talked about teacher training being one of the first steps that you took, and you talked about the examinations being the most difficult part of online classes. Were there any challenges that you did not expect that kind of came to you as a surprise, and how did you tackle them?
I think one of the things slowly became apparent were the mental health issues. I think initially we thought people are at their homes under the care of their parents. Everything will be better in indeed kind of a attitude, but slowly the mental health issues started to become more and more severe. And in fact, I'm very sorry, but during the COVID time we lost a student, and that student wouldn't have committed suicide, whatever he did, with a if the COVID was not there. The student wanted to come back. He came back to the campus because he had issues with at home. He said, I cannot stay at home. I need to come back to the campus. He came back to the campus, and then there were the social distancing norms. So we were not allowing students to mingle with each other. We were always asking them to stay apart and not to have these social gatherings, parties, and all of that. And in the process, the student actually felt very lonely. And and then finally, the things did not really work out very well. But these issues also, we started to realize that it's indeed a major problem. In fact, at the peak of COVID, we had 1,400 students on the campus who were seeking the counselor's help. And then we soon realized that we need to strengthen these counseling services, and we have significantly enhanced our counseling services during the COVID period. But we also realized that it's not just, we always used to think that on a campus, the most vulnerable group, are actually the students. But we soon realized that, that's not necessarily true. And even among staff, there were issues. And we soon not only expanded our student counseling services, and we actually made them the institute counseling services. We brought it, made it open for anybody on the campus who needs to seek help, kind of a thing. And but that realization, came a little later after we had one unfortunate kind of an incident. And but even now, I think dealing with the mental health issues of students during the COVID time, while unfortunately it's never the social distancing. It was always the physical distancing. But I think we somehow made physical distancing equivalent to social distancing. So people were not connecting with each other enough, and that led to all kinds of mental health issues. And that to me was something which we had not anticipated, that we did not realize that such a large fraction of students and staff on the campus would require help during the COVID time. But I think that I would say is something that we were not very well prepared, or we did not anticipate well enough at the beginning of the COVID.
No, that's an excellent point to make. Mental health is not a joke. It's not something to be taken lightly. And our deepest condolences to your student and any student and anyone who has dealt with these issues and that have been aggravated because of the COVID pandemic and the social distancing norms that were in place. And thank you so much for sharing that, because this is why we like having academic and industry here, because there's so many issues that we don't get to hear about, that we don't know about if you're not actually in the space itself. And now that we have Dell Technologies here too, maybe I would like to ask Ms. Sathya again. What were you are a tech company. There are certain tools that you are already building and making, but what were some tech tools that came in demand from educators that you didn't expect, that maybe took you as surprise, like, oh, this is also something that we can work on, that we can create, that we can assist education institutes with?
Yeah. Yes, that's certainly a brainstorming that happened between us to know what exactly the market would want. So we understood that two things happened. One is during the COVID, and in the last 2 years, you have seen that time to time the COVID actually had to come down, and we had to the universities had to bring back their wards and students, and they have been opening time to time as well in the last 2 years. So there were demands with respect to handling the COVID situation and setting up the solutions for remote learning, online learning, and all that. And also, on the other hand, they were preparing themselves for the upcoming batches, and as and when the students were coming back to the colleges and the universities, they wanted to be ready for that as well. So we saw that there's been quite a demand with respect to setting up the new labs or the solutions for industry, as I said in the beginning, the industry relevant approach, because when the students come back to the college and or the higher education, they are looking for preparing themselves for readiness to be in the market. So we found that there's a lot more demand with respect to an AI or an ML lab, or setting up Intel lab, which we have a collaborative solution for the youth. Or we see that there is more ask with respect to how we can be more relevant to the market, both with respect to the content as well as the faculty being ready for it. So we had to also work along with the universities for the faculties, as well as preparing the students for the new industry and the market. As well as we see that demands with respect to different with respect to all the shipment and timelines, also we had challenge. So the universities are preparing much in advance for the colleges opening up soon to be, and in the recent times, time to time, whenever the colleges were opening We saw that the academia is preparing themselves for setting up the labs and the setup that is needed for them to be more in ready for the students. So what has been the trend is the AI, ML, and the cloud and other technologies where the students want to be ready for the market. And we see that since we do have the education services in place, we see a need to cater them, and we have been quite successful with that as well. Venkat, would you like to add to that? The question was to understand what came up as a sudden requirement, unexpected requirement during the COVID for education to Dell.
No, I think you said it very well. Over and above the 21st century skills that anyway was I think by and large getting adapted well. We saw a shift towards digital transformation, and that could happen with the use of those technologies that Satya called out. And I would put them into a simple, easy, understandable, and easily rememberable ABCDE. AI, blockchain, cloud, data analytics, and edge. These are amongst the most famous and fast emerging technologies that is changing pretty much every sphere of business, not just education. Of course, education and healthcare do stand out in adopting this, but it is across all forms of businesses. As a company, we ourselves go through a significant transformation in the last 2 years, adopting these into our processes and to our businesses. So therefore, we have a learning at first hand. At the same time, when we go and talk to educational institutions, academicians, and teachers, we are in a better position. Our experts are in a better position to give use cases on how we have applied them into various areas of business, likewise in various areas or facets of education. So that's a big shift that we have seen since the pandemic. And as they say, when there is a crisis, that's when people tend to come out of their comfort zone. And when you are challenged and pushed, you will switch to learn something that you have not done before. Otherwise, there is resistance, right? The human mind has a resistance, but we saw that resistance going away. And I'm personally, when I'm talking to a lot of institutions, and of course, IIT Delhi is in the forefront of that, adopting digital transformation, we are hearing more and more across many institutions that they are using this significantly. And as the education comes back into classrooms, we do hear that they are getting prepared for the next wave, which is about best of both breeds and hybrid environment where people can learn online. At the same time, people can come to classrooms and experience real-time traditional methods of learning as well.
Yes, actually, Sitaram, since you are here with us right now, I would like to ask a follow-up question on the point you just made. Things are opening up. We are going to see maybe a shift to a hybrid learning. It's been going on a lot. So what role would technology play in the post-pandemic classroom? Or what tools are you working on for the next wave that we can see coming?
Absolutely. That's I think, well thought through, forward-looking, I would say, question. More than that, we should see this as a journey. And my point of view here would be to the academicians to start preparing, or if not, start. If you've already prepared, great. Otherwise, start, because this is going to be the new norm. It's going to be the best of breeds of both worlds. And I will like to begin with a personal example here. Yesterday, I was having this is like coincidental. Yesterday, I was having a chat with my daughter who's in 10th standard, school going. And it seems the school sent an option that, would you like to come back to the classroom for offline learning? I said, go ahead, give a yes, because you've been missing for the last 1.5 years. She said, on the contrary, I was surprised. She said, no, I don't want to go. I said, why? She said, I'm better in online learning compared to classroom learning. Stumped me completely. And I'm still yet to digest it, yet to react. I said, okay, hold on. Let's think through this. I don't want to instantly react to what you're saying. But the point I'm making with this example is the best of both the breeds will be there. There will be students who will want to learn online because they're best used to learning that way. They've realized that their absorption, their adoption has become much better. So I think that's the preparation that's underway. What kind of tools will help do that? I think there are many other tools today that has evolved. EdTech companies are on the rise. Over the next 5-10 years, we see with the advancements like Dr. Rao was talking, that these companies are making, you will find a lot of user-friendly tools that are available. But just to give a few examples, I'll give an example on Dell. What Dell corporate learning system does to make it more interactive in virtual environments, right? Corporate learning. We use tools like Kahoot, keep it more engaging, keep it more interactive with the participants, etc. Make it funny at times, run some interesting quiz and stuff like that. A lot of content that gets created gets posted on maybe a tech ed, or we call it sales university or tech university, and those call it portals that we have set up. So it's a repository that's available for all the employees. You can go and click and learn contents. In case you have missed few sessions, you can always go and play those recorded sessions. That's the advantage, in a virtual world. You can't get that in a classroom. You miss a lecture, you miss it. But go forward, we are seeing even faculties, even academicians adapt to this, meaning record a lecture when you're doing it so that it can be posted. Because if the classroom absorption is only 10-11%, that student, he or she can go back and again refer to this content on a YouTube or in maybe in the institution portal or wherever it is in the common portal. A lot of content, a lot of other practical, assistive and adaptive learning tools are coming up. We are seeing penchant for young students wanting to do coding right from young age. So I'm looking at QMath, I'm looking at Tinker and a lot of them, right? So it's like tech savvy. I think the young age is by default tech savvy, and we're seeing them adopt more and more. At the same time, virtual simulations, which they will really want to come and feel it in the space of maybe medicine or biotech or other research areas. I'm sure they will want to come back and feel good with their hands by experimenting those labs in the classrooms or in the lab rooms, etc. So it's going to be a combination of both of this, several tools that are available. Dell is using some of them. So by practical knowledge and experience, I'm sharing this. So you need to set up a robust infrastructure to support all this. Look for a simple Zoom meeting. You saw if the existing technology in itself is not good enough. You will need to look at building robust, modernized infrastructure that supports all of this. So that's the start. And then add these tools and then train the ecosystem, put together in place. I think you can run best of both of the worlds to help students, to help faculty, both. I think that gives learning outcomes. In my view, that drives great learning outcomes.
Thank you so much for bringing
it make sense.
Yeah, no, you did make sense. And it's always great to have the industry plus the parent perspective. Parents are a big stakeholder in education. But now I would actually like to ask the same question.
I'm not able to hear you, Vasudha. Sorry. You may want to post that to Satya or maybe on the chat. Maybe I can answer that.
It's all right. I'm moving to Professor Rao. Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So
Vasudha, just want to do a time check. We are at 10:52.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to ask the same question to Professor Rao. How do you see technology playing out in the post-pandemic classroom?
I think it will all become more hybrid. And, even today, for example, already we are moving towards more of a hybrid format now. Now at IIT Delhi, we are trying to get the students back to the campus, and we hope to start regular sessions, by November kind of a time frame. But when we do that, I think we still want to record all the lectures so that students can watch them at home and learn at their own pace. So that's one thing which will happen. So I think anything that captures the regular classroom environment and makes it available to the students offline, and I think that will be required now. And if you tell a teacher, no, you go to the studio and then you have to deliver lectures, use a whiteboard, use this color, that color, that's not going to happen. I think technologies need to be hidden. I think they need to be in the background, but they are still capturing what is happening in the classroom and make it available to students on demand. I think that is going to be the future. And the more flipped classroom kind of approaches where the content is available, you go through that at your own pace and time and all that. But you come to the classroom more for an interactive kind of a sessions. I think that sort of a model will become, pretty common now in our classrooms, and I think that's what we are all moving towards right now. And already I see that, because the way, my last, of course, the last two emails I sent to the students, one was on the mental health issues and all the facilities that are available. But the one I sent before that was, we have lots of students on the campus, but they are not attending classes. Now teachers are going online and delivering lectures, but they are seeing 5%, 10% of students turning up. Now, when you ask the students, why are you not coming? They say, but anyway, the lectures are available offline. So therefore, I know I would watch them at the pace, when I want to watch it, kind of a thing. And so how do you handle that situation? Then why do I even go to take the trouble of going, at a particular time and deliver the lecture? It can all become asymmetric. You record your lectures, post all of them, and then students learn at their own pace. I think, but there has to be some discipline. There needs to be the new ways of connecting with the students. I think the technology platforms need to evolve further, so that what happens in the classroom is all captured and made available to students, but still keeping in mind all the privacy and all of those issues, because many teachers still don't want their everything that they speak in the class to be put on YouTube. I think so the privacy issues also need to be always taken into account, and students also will be hesitant to ask a question if everything is getting recorded and everything is going to YouTube. So I think the technologies which are not intrusive, which will enable learning in a better fashion, but which also good enough to capture what is happening in real time, in a natural kind of environment. I think all of these are the ways I would see technologies evolving, and become integral part of the teaching learning kind of a process.
Right. No, I think it sounds like both you and Dell Technologies are very much on the same page as far as what the post-pandemic classroom will look like. I think this, that was one of my final questions. We've come a long way since in these last 2 years, starting from just teacher training to completely moving online to now trying to find a sort of a synchronicity between the two. And I think we can maybe, we have a few audience questions here, and perhaps we can ask that to our panelists, if that's all right. So one of the questions is to Dell, actually. Do you have any solutions under CSR for institutes in rural areas? I will post this question in the chat as well, so that you can see it.
Venkat can't hear you.
I sent him the message.
Just a quick check. Am I audible? Vasudha?
Yes, you are audible.
So, to the question of Dell solutions for CSR in rural areas, must say that Dell Technologies has been very, very active in supporting education in rural areas through CSR. That's an area that we keep making ongoing investments. Our objective is, make education available and accessible to all. And in that context, we support learners by providing best of breed devices, content. So like I said, we partnered with a lot of edtech platforms today. So we add content. So we give access to content, access to devices, access to our training sessions. We also provide faculty, mentorship, experts who can go and help students learn, etc. So we're working on a few more things, like how can you make learning personal? How can you drive experiential learning in rural areas, etc. Example, multilingual learning, or learning by means of your home language, and so on and so forth. So we're working on some of the technology tools to provide that support as well. This is a space that we really put that in the forefront in helping education available and accessible to all. Last but not the least, we are closely working with government. Professor made a comment about Dell's partnership with IIT as well, IIT Delhi as well. So we're really privileged and to continue that partnership. But on the other hand, we work with Untitled Education Mission, yes, by enabling all technology access that's available for students essentially, we see these students are schools drop out, or maybe in the technical institutions wanting to really learn on new emerging technologies or IT management, service management, and so on and so forth. So we're finding a lot of stuff that's happening. We continue to provide support to even government initiatives as well. I think, in fact, that's been on the forefront for Dell Technologies today in India.
All right. Thank you so much. I know you can't hear me, but thank you for answering that question. I hope that answers your question too. We have one more question from the audience, and I think Professor Rao can take this one. Dr. Poonam is asking, the willingness to attend lecture in physical classrooms may be low now, but how to ensure student is making full use of recorded lecture or digital contents?
I think that's a good question. So that is something we are all struggling with. The only way to do that is to strengthen our assessment processes. In India, particularly, where there is intense competition in the classroom and outside on our campuses, I think the assessments is one way to ensure that students are, are doing what they are supposed to do. And I think, one of the things is also that in India, the education is free on our campuses. And that also makes students believe that, something which is free, they don't need to put in any extra effort to attend classes and absorb whatever is being taught, kind of a thing. And they think they can postpone all of that to the examination time and prepare. Whereas in US campuses where you are paying, on a credit basis, you also, because you are paying for what you are learning, you take education more seriously. But in India, it happens that seriousness comes, but it comes at towards the fag end of semesters usually. But that continuous learning is the key. I think the technologies offer you those solutions. In a regular classroom, you deliver all the lectures and then you conduct exam. But in an online platform, as most of our teachers in IIT Delhi are doing now, they are conducting quizzes as they teach. In between the quizzes, now these tools allow you to do an online assessment of how much the students are absorbing and what they have been learning, and then move to the next topic. I think so. We have to integrate the assessment with the teaching itself, and that is one thing which the online platforms do now effectively. I think we should start to make use of these sort of facilities available in the online platforms more effectively.
Thank you, Dr. Poonam. I hope that answers. I can see that you have added a follow-up question. We only have 2 minutes remaining, so Professor Rao, you can quickly kind of answer this. She's asking, for many institutions, updated tech deployment is still a dream. How to go about it? Oh,
I know that's a challenge. I mean, it's not very easy, but I think, at least in IITs, we have been taking help of corporates through their CSR initiatives. And we're also getting back students, to the campus where we cannot address their problems at their native places. I think we are following multiple approaches to, provide that support to the students. I think empathy, that's very important during these times. And just to think that one solution will fit all will not just work. I think in India is such a diverse country. Just no single solution will fit all the requirements. We have to, do those surveys. More of these data-driven sort of policy decisions. I think that is also need of the hour. Just sitting in our offices, imagining that this is what should happen, that is what should happen, will not work. You need to regularly conduct surveys among students, understand their needs, and accordingly, provide solutions to them. And that is what we have done at IIT Delhi. We have conducted quite a few surveys, from the beginning of COVID, to understand what students are going through, so that we can dynamically, change our policies and help, reach a optimum kind of a solution. And that communication is the key. I think we need to communicate much more than what we were doing, during the pre-COVID era. I think COVID has also taught us that as administrators, as all of us in these positions, that connect with the students during the COVID time is much more important than ever before. So I think that I would think is an important message right now during the COVID times.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for summing that up. And I think what you're also, if I go going through these surveys, you are finding out what exactly is needed. You're also reminding the students, because when they sort of think about what they need, they are more likely to use the tools that they are asking for, essentially. and the administration is also aware of what exactly is required in the institution. And it's not always easy to go about. But thank you so much, Professor Rao, for coming here today and speaking with us. Thank you, Mrs. Sitaram and Ms. Satya, for coming and joining in this conversation. Student engagement is such an important subject matter. And even now going forward, especially since we've seen both sides of the coin, online and physical classrooms, going forward, we're going to need a lot more discussion on this. And I'm glad that we were able to have it here today on our platform. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Satya to do the closing remarks for today's theme, our topic panel, that was blurring the classroom lines, student engagement.
Thanks, Vasudha, for doing this well and mentoring the session well. And I think we really had a wonderful conversation with all of you, including Mr. Hoshi. And thanks for conducting this well and organizing it greatly. And thanks to my team as well as the Business World team for this. Thanks, Rao sir, for being here with us today and giving us your point of view. Some of them were really thought-provoking. Some of them really made us think as well that we never thought about. And some were of great value, showing a lot of human values as well. And I think that's something we are taking away today from here. Other than that, generally, I have also contributed during the conversation, which was accidental and unexpected. I apologize for the interruption happened, but whatever little Venkat spoke, I think he gave wonderful inputs to us and what Dell is into with respect to education services. I would like to thank Venkat for that as well. Coming to the point of our topic today, blurring boundaries, I think the biggest boundary that we are seeing as a hurdle and the challenge ahead of us is being offline and being online. And I think the academicians are taking great initiatives in controlling that. And some of them are taking a lot of innovative approaches to handle the students and giving them the I think all of them have taken it really on their shoulders to ensure that whatever happens, we are not letting this go. We are not letting our students down. We are not going to leave the, we are not going to shut the school or college, and we are not going to be taking rest. So there has been a lot of innovative thinking and taking up the challenge of this time. And we see that solutions with respect to keeping them engaged, keeping them more occupied, keeping them more interested. Like Mr. Venkat said, his daughter now says that I'm more happy taking up the education online. And there are students who feels like my own cousin or nephew. They are like, when will the college or the school will open? I want to go back and spend time with, because even the same is the scenario with the offices, where we also want to go back to office, because there are times we have had great times in office, collaborating with our colleagues, and there's more different kind of collaboration that happens when you're in person. And today it's all scheduled, and a lot of professionalism has come into our approach, and there's more productivity is also seen. Nevertheless, I would say the people touch is missing, which is, I think, all of us are looking forward to the new normal, I would say. The new normal, we've been calling it since 2020, but we have really not landed up there. And I don't think there is nothing called as getting back to normal. We are always going to be the new normal, which is going to be an evolution day by day. And whatever we thought we land up in end of 2020, it was a different scenario in 2021. And today we are landing up in a very different scenario in 2021. At the fag end, we are already there in the last quarter. And so we see that it is challenging times. We have handled it great. The academicians have really done their best to ensure that the wards and the parents and their faculties are growing with the time and evolving with the time. A lot of adaptation has happened over the time. And whatever some questions came up on how do we get there, I think some questions were well answered by Professor. So we say that Dell is here as one of the technology partners here for you. We are working with, and hence we have separate education, verticalization, and focus given to that, because we see that there is a great scope, and there is a lot of innovations that's going to come up, and education sector is going to really ramp up in a different way. And the education curriculum and the students' approach to the college and the faculty's approach to the students and the universities and the schools way of teaching, everything is going to change in the years to come, because the COVID has set forward a lot of expectation and a lot of, I would say, innovation into the place where we see that there is more new normal, which is going to be a lot of personalization that is expected, which will be empowering the educators as well as the students. And as I said, Dell is here. You can approach us. We give solutions starting from the age to the content to the enablement of the data security and setting up things in the back end. We may not be always in the front with the Dell logo, but we can be at the back and we can enable you as well, like setting up a digital library or setting up a secured campus system or a secured data management, or setting up a lab or an artificial intelligence or a machine learning lab, or enabling your students when it comes to their, I would say, placements to the market. At any point in time when you feel that you want to move your current status quo to a more technology-driven campus, and you want more focused approach with respect to the trends in the market, more than happy, and please get in touch with us at Dell Technologies, and we will share with you some of the solutions which our current clients are happy and satisfied using, and we can also be part of your next gen approach to education. Thanks, Vasudha, and I think that was a wonderful session. Thanks for enabling us and connecting us to the forum here.
Thank you. Vasudha, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Ms. Satya, and thank you, Professor Rao, and thank you, Sitaram ji. I know you've been answering and been very active on the chat, answering questions directly that some of our attendees have had. I'm really glad to be a part of this discussion. We had the academic, we had industries, and we have parents in this panel as well, all discussing a very important and permanent matter at hand. And thank you for all the attendees for coming and watching. And if anyone has missed anything from the beginning, or wants to rewatch this, you can see this entire panel on all of our social media sites, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And if anyone wants to have any more questions, like Ms. Satya has told us, you can contact Dell directly to find out exactly what tools and solutions are available. It doesn't have to be immediate. And if you're worried about implementing this in your university, as Professor Rao suggested, do surveys, contact your staff, talk to people in your institution, find out not the issues, but what solutions they want. And I'm really glad we could have this very solution-oriented discussion. Thank you, everyone, for being part of today's panel. And with that, I hope you have a really great day going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.